It's time once again to go racing.
The pressure is really on now.
And it's pole position.
And it's pedal to the metal. Go, go, go!
Good evening, everybody, and welcome along once again to PSGL Season 29. This is the F2 tier on the PlayStation side and the very first season on the F1 2021 game. New handling model, new damage model, so we won't know who will be contending for the championship yet until we finish the season mid-November in Brazil. But we start off the championship at the famous Sakir International Circuit for the Bahrain Grand Prix. My name is Jess Bourne. I'll be one of the commentators taking you through the action this season. Joining me in the commentary box for a second season is the one and only Owen Wyatt. How are you doing tonight?
Hello Jess, hello viewers. It is finally time. PSGL Season 29, F2 tier once again. We had a great time last season. Hoping we're going to have another good season this time around. I cannot wait to get started.
We have some great talent on the grid tonight, some of them new to PSGL, some from F1 last season, some were promoted from the lower divisions, and some of them staying exactly where they are in F2. But all of them have one goal in mind, and that is to be the PSGL F2 champion. And this is where the drivers will be racing this season. We've got Bahrain obviously tonight. Next week we head to the Circuit Paul Ricard in France. Then we head to Belgium in Spa. Then we got Zandvoort on the 6th of September. Monza on the 13th of September, Great Britain in Silverstone on the 20th, Austria on the 27th, China on the 4th of October, 11th of October we got Japan, then we got Canada, Mexico, USA, and then we end off the season just like last season in Brazil. And if you remember last season, it went down to the wire where the champion, which was Xander Balliner, won the championship by 1 point to Suko. Suko is actually racing in F2 again this season. And his one aim, he told me a few weeks ago, his one aim is to be the champion, and I think he'll be disappointed if he doesn't get the championship.
Yeah, I'm hoping he keeps his form up from last season. Of course, the dramatic way that championship was won last time, where it literally went down to the final lap, remember, where it was 3 wide in towards turn 1, and in fairness, elbows were brought out, could easily have went the other way, so Suko will know he was definitely there on pace, just needs literally that one more point this season and it would do it for him. Was also impressive. We had a champion last year with no race wins, so I'd be surprised if we get that again. Expect a bit of a different season here, but I expect it should still be just as dramatic.
Exactly, and for those of you who are wondering, who are the drivers this season? Well, I will tell you right now. We got a stacked grid today in the F2 tier, basically the stars of the future. We got a few F1 drivers from last season, that is Simo, Ash Best and Valters as well, and also we've got some F2 drivers like Suko and Hadler as well, who had a race win last season. So we've got Lars and Korn, who are going to be in a Mercedes, and we've got Simo and Deso that are going to be teaming up together as well, which is great to see. And obviously some of the drivers had free choice of teams because they were in the placement order, they were very, very high up as well, so it was to be expected. In the McLaren, we have Ash Best and Fabi. In the Alpine, we got Recon and Suku. That's going to be, I think, a very strong team. In Aston Martin, we have Valters and Hadler. AlphaTauri, we have CC Brain and Benny. In Ferrari, we have Daniel and Kazizel. In Alfa Romeo, we have Baraka 12 and Riz. In the Haas, we have Kareem and Valentin. And in the Williams, we got, who was AGK Gill, but now he's VRT Gill, alongside MMT Louis VLT as well. Some familiar names, but some names we do not have a clue, but we do know by the end of the season if they're going to be challenging for the championship. Should be a very exciting track we're now going to be heading to qualifying. First use in Formula 1 this track in 2004 as a day race. Was won by Michael Schumacher in the Ferrari, and we saw this season in real life, we saw Max Verstappen and Lewis go down to the wire for the final few laps for the race win, and we saw a similar battle between Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg back in the day in 2014 when it was first of the night rate in the hybrid era. So plenty of opportunities. The last time we were here in PSGL was last season, not the full track, but in Bahrain. Sure, I kind of wish it was on the game this season, but Cody's decided to get rid of it, which I don't like, but at least we get some Bahrain action nonetheless. And for some of these drivers, this is not the first time they'll be racing in it, because many leagues starting their championship campaign in Bahrain, so I'm guessing they've probably had a lot of practice by now.
Yes, Bahrain, definitely a very popular track, and as you say, a few of them will have some experience here, but in fairness, most of that doesn't really matter. It all comes down to this now. This is the big one. I hope they assume this is the big one, and yeah, we'll see how they all get on. I'll be interested to see what tyres they all start on. I was seeing other streams and other races we've had on this track. Tyre strategy's been quite varied, and you can already see we've got about half the grid on the mediums already just for the out lamps. Of course, every driver has the same tyre allocation this year because it's standardised, so you don't get to choose one of three. It's just one set of tyres that you can get, and everyone has the same. So we'll see what they all do with that this season, but certainly any sort of combination of tyres could work for this one tonight. I wonder how much they've been watching the other races. That could be pivotal tonight.
And I've just realised I've muted my mic. I do apologise about that. I was talking to myself for like 1 minute, and then sorry about that. But anyway, I'm seeing a lot of people on the soft tyres, but only a few people on the mediums, probably to get a banker perhaps.
Could be to do bankers, could be really anything, like I say, with so much with the tyres, with the different strategies. It really could be anything. But a lot of people they're setting lap times. Ash Best, for example, 26.3. I imagine he'll be able to do quicker than it. So it is just bankers, I'd imagine, at the moment. But we'll see what happens later. Hadler has been in the wall, so he's out of the session already. He'll start at the back. And that's surprising. That must be down at, I'd imagine, turns 7 and 8, because it's so easy to lose the exit around there and hit the wall on the left-hand side on the exit, because the way the bumps are, they're so, well, bumpy, it just unsettles the car too much. Expect a lot of action there tonight, potentially, because the cars understeer a lot more this year, especially in that S section in the middle sector. A few people maybe still getting used to that, and Hadler falling victim to it.
Yes, Hadler has unfortunately retired, and usually it's the Aston Martins in the tiers this season that's ending up winning it in the first part of qualifying, which is not ideal. And as I was speaking whilst my mic was on mute earlier, we do see people in other tiers try the medium to soft strategy, which could work, but if you're not in the good pace, you probably wouldn't want to do it. Ideally, you would want to do it if you're in P11 like Recon is at the moment. But most people inside the top 10 will probably try soft to hards, I reckon, for this qualifying session, which could last 18 laps according to my tyre data, but they could make it almost the whole race as other people are proving it. So it may just be the performance patch may have something to do with it, that it hasn't come out yet. I don't know, it may change once that patch comes out, so I don't know when it's going to come out. Lars is just past turn 7 now, who is now back after a few races absence. He got banned last season, but he has been allowed back, which is good news. He's past turn 10. Now always a few drivers going a bit wide in turn 10 as well. Again, handling is taking a while to get used to. We've seen quite a few people spin in the turn 12 section in some of the lower tiers especially as well, because some people just not used to the handling around this track due to the temperatures. I'm one of those people. Has large sets purple in sector 2, looking good so far. Fabi has gone fastest right now. Expect lap times to be around about the mid 124s, maybe 124 3s or 2s if we're lucky. That was what the PCF2 drivers set in their qualifying session, and Lars has unfortunately invalidated, so unfortunately the curse continues. One driver we have to talk about is the one in the Mercedes Corn, who definitely surprised us last week, who was one of the top F2 drivers from our pre-season race, which had some F1 drivers as well. Could be a championship contender. He hasn't set a lap time on the board right now, but he heads towards the final part of the lap, turn 14, and a little kink of turn 15. I don't know why you call it a corner, but it is a corner according to F1 standards, and it's a 124.9, and it's just shy of pole position, but he currently sits in P2. But the Shizou driver in the Mercedes, definitely someone to watch out for.
Yeah, so I'm interested then by that turn 10 tactic, because I haven't seen many people doing that so far. Maybe that's just a regular way of doing it. Track limits have been extremely inconsistent. I mean, we saw the best example of that with Lars, where he goes off to Narnia at 10, comes back on. Clearly it's quicker. You wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't quicker. But then at turn 13, you go even a little tiny bit wide, and you lose the lap. And so, that's on Cody's though, isn't it? I mean, I don't think you can really have a go at the drivers for that. But it is interesting seeing just how much they must have practiced to find all those different lines. Because who on earth would think of doing that at turn 10? Clearly it works, and I wonder if the fastest time of the session might come via that. I wonder what people would think about that. Sure, F1 drivers might even be having a wee peek at this before they go racing later on, and saying, oh, that's interesting, I might adopt that. So we'll see what everyone else does about that. Mind you, early stages of the session still. So hopefully all those early laps will get much quicker. We're currently on a 24.8, Fabi 1/10 clear of Corn at the minute. And then it's 4 Shizou drivers chasing Fabi down, so Shizou looking nice and quick already.
Yeah, they are, and it's not a common, well, it actually is a common situation where the Shizou drivers are near the front in some of the F2 tiers in any platform, as it were, as well. I was watching a few on the PC as well, where the Shizou drivers are performing very well too, and I think this is the tier where the esports teams will be looking for drivers who are maybe not in an esports team yet, and thinking whether they should sign them for the team to develop them to maybe become a F1 driver in the future, and maybe go to F1 esports, the Challenger Series. Who knows, we may see some of these drivers in Challengers in the future, like Simo, for example, who's currently sitting in P7 in a minute, still yet to set another lap. We've got a few other drivers on lap as well, Valtters as well. Some of these drivers were probably very, very disappointed to be dropped down to F2 after being in F1 last season, but for some of those drivers, if not all of those, they did not perform well, so that was why they ended up in this tier. But for some of the drivers we saw last season that got moved down into F2, they performed quite well. For the likes of Gil, for example, he didn't start the season quite strong, but he ended up getting quite a few race wins this season, including his home win in France last season as well, and he's looking to replicate that. Not that far behind some of the rivals on the mediums, actually. His lap time on the mediums is not too shabby at all, so... But at least his internet is not playing up unlike the first round last season in Bahrain. So at least he's having a better start to the season than last season. We've still got 3 more drivers yet to set a lap time. Benny is also on the medium compounded tyres, but unfortunately he has invalidated. It's too hard to predict on who I think is going to be on pole, because obviously they're on higher fuel loads compared to what they're going to be towards the end of the session. It's because this all goes even quicker, 2 tenths quicker than Fabi. I haven't seen much of him in PSGL, but he's showing why he deserves to be up near the top dogs, and he's almost close to where we're expecting to be the pole time right now. I think the PS times will probably be a bit slower than the PCF2 times, but still, it's still pretty good lap times for around about this stage to go in the session. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the Ferrari driver does.
Yeah, it's a good lap time, that, and we'll see how long that holds. I imagine there's still a couple more tenths in it, but as you're saying about drivers who've been coming down from the F1 tier, or have been here for a couple of seasons, drivers like Gil's got quite a unique advantage in the minute, I think, because obviously when he won the F1 championship, I think it was season 26 he won it, he was obviously able to fight for that one. He knows what it's like to fight for these big championships. Maybe other drivers who haven't fought as high as he has. He's down here because he was learning the wheel, and he's been doing that for 2 seasons now. So surely at this point, he should be more than used to. I reckon he could be right in there this season. He's got more experience of winning the higher championships. And I wonder what the other F2 drivers will think about having a recent F1 champion in here. We get a few more times on the board, by the way. I think Louis just gone P3. Elting has gone P2. He was up there as well last season, wasn't he? He was one of the championship contenders. He fell out of the race, though, in Brazil quite early on, so never really had the chance to fight for it in the end, but was certainly one of the drivers to watch. He was teammates with Gil then. Maybe those two after last season could be ones to watch, but again, it's a new game. Maybe it flips on its head, but at the minute, Elting certainly seems to have kept some of the pace.
Yeah, he is. Unfortunately, he's not racing full time this season. He is a reserve driver as well. I'm guessing he wasn't able to make all the races this season, so that was why he's reserve. I'm just trying to see who he's replacing on the track. I believe it's not Kareem because he's here. I believe. I can't tell, but I think there's quite a few reserve drivers tonight. I think both Haas drivers are not here tonight, so I don't know which one they're replacing, but both of them are replaced by reserve drivers. So Haas are not going to be scoring any constructors' points anyway, just like in real life. But we know that KJ is good on pace anyway, and who knows, he may have time to become a full-time driver this season, and if he does, he'll definitely be a championship contender. And the driver to watch out for in pole position right now, 1:24.570. That is Shizu Korn, who is currently looking like the favourite so far. That was almighty impressive as well, heading towards the final few corners. I think there's a few other more drivers about to finish off their laps. Ash Best going off second quicker than his previous best. That puts him in P14. We also got, I believe, Deso, who's about to start his lap as well. And then we got the other Aston Martin that's not dead of Valtters about to go into... No, I think he's going into the pits because he's just finished a lap as well. So I think we're seeing people slowly finishing off their laps and going into the pits for one final splash and dash, putting the lowest fuel possible to set the quickest lap that they can. Everyone will probably aim for the soft compounded tyres because that is what the top 10 wants to start on anyway. Some of them will want to aim for P11 for the alternate strategy, and some people, they don't care where they are. They just want to be there for the long haul as well. But they need to impress really this season, because this may be the make or break season as to whether they may end up in F1 the next season, or other esports teams may be looking at this and thinking, should I sign them or should I not? As Deso heads towards turn 10, he's on a bit early for his lap. I don't think he's going to go into the pits in time if he wants to do one final lap, so I think this is going to be his only lap in the last part of qualifying. And let's hope it's a good one, and let's hope he doesn't get a bit of understeer through 12, which he does not. So we'll see what he could do as he passes 12 into 13, heading through this back straight as well. We seem to see a lot of people lose it on the left-hand side of our screen, the right of their screen, as well in a few races in PSGL so far. Let's hope these drivers don't do it tonight, as Deso comes across the line and he goes into the pits. So I'm guessing he just wasn't happy and he wants to get a final lap in with everybody else when the track is at its best, because if he don't go when the track is at its best, you're probably not likely going to get pole position. And the F2 grid is quite much closer than I thought. The top 14 separated by just under a second.
Yeah, very close. They're definitely not going to be looking at mediums, most of these guys, which is good to see. We always like a quick, soft run at the end. I imagine softs go about 8 to 10 laps in the race, so they can make it work, I guess, in a one-stop. Just depends what they pit onto, but we'll worry about that when we get into the race. Looks like Gil in the Williams is the first driver to come out for his final run. He'll have the track all to himself at the moment, but what he's got to worry about is that he might find himself catching traffic on the final lap. We do see this happen quite often, actually, where someone goes out early and has to actually abandon their first lap and try again, and that could put you under pressure with the fuel. It could put an extra lap on the tyres. If you have the full map on, you can see that other drivers are now starting to come out of the pits. And so while Gil's doing all this, we can't see the timer right now, but I imagine it's about 2 minutes on the clock, and people will be coming out of the pits, and he might find himself in a little bit of traffic problems.
Yes, he will, because people outside the pit are not going to be going fast. I can tell you that. They're going to be trying to get the heat into the tyres to make sure that they set their lap. And luckily, Gilmy's out the way for that Aston Martin, who was on an out lap as well. Yeah, that Valtters wants to get a lap very quickly, and I think the McLaren is pretty much going to do the same. I'm guessing Gil wants to be the last driver to cross the line as he almost hits the McLaren. Luckily, he does not, as we got Ash Best and Brock and Louis in the pit. I believe Brock is also another reserve driver tonight, as one of the Ferraris couldn't make it. I'll need to find out which Ferrari it is, but he is filling in tonight. And I believe it's Daniel, so unless he is Daniel, which I don't know, but we'll see. As Gil's about to start his final lap, as is Valtters and Fabi and the Ferrari driver of Kazizel as well. And it's not going to be that long then before we see who's going to be pole for the very first race of the F2 season. Make sure you watch us for the whole season, because it's going to be absolutely epic. Lars is starting his lap as well. KJ's come across the line to about to start his final lap. I'm trying to see who will be the last person to cross the line. I think it'll be one of the Haas or the Williams drivers will be the last person to cross the line. As KJ's binned it somewhere.
John's barrier.
Yeah, he's right into the barrier, and that crash doesn't look good at all, and that is his qualifying over.
And Recon's gone as well, right beside him. He's on the other side of the wall. He's where Mazepin put it in the wall in the actual race itself. But let's see everyone on their laps then. Valtters is currently 3/10 up. He needs 12 100ths of a second, and that will put him on to pole position. Let's see if he can find it as he heads around the final corner. I expect quite a lot of improvements here, but Valtters, currently sitting P11, will want to go up to P1 with his time. Can he? Yes, he can. Pole by 2 100ths of a second. Let's see if he holds it. Fabi is just behind him in second place, and there's a lot of cars coming down this main straight. It's going to be quite difficult to keep an eye on, because Zizzle has improved his time. He's gone up to P1 as well. And then behind him, we've got Simo going P5. Gil, it looks like he did have to go again then on his tyres, so he's not going to be improving on that first lap. It'll all be about his second lap. Benny is coming round to the final corner, and he is heading through. I think he's gone off actually, so that's not going to help him out. We've got a Ferrari off the track as well, just moving over. If not, just binned it, but we'll see. We've got a Mercedes coming through next. I think that's going to be Korn.
Yep.
As he heads round, let's see how he gets on in the Mercedes. Currently sitting P4, currently 700ths off P1 as he heads through the final two corners. The checkered flag will be there for him. Let's see if he can improve on his time.
Wow. 1:24.4 for him. That's very, very good.
So close, isn't it? But there's just nothing that they can do. This is one of the closest sessions we've seen so far. Let's see if Baraka can go up there as well. No, he can't. Behind him, Deso. No improvement for him. We've got Suko as well, hasn't improved. Got Risa coming to the line. No massive improvements. I don't know if my timing screen's messed up or if no one's just improving it.
No one is improving.
No one improving. We've got a car upside down. That's not gone too well. He's flipped himself back over. People are making mistakes right now, and the times are not as quick as we are expecting them in the final runs. Is Ash Best into the pit lane? He is into the pit lane. I think he's the one who binned it at the last corner just there now. Valtters is on an in lap, as is Fabi. I'm trying to see if anyone's actually on a lap. I haven't got any checkered flags beside my driver's names, so I can't actually see who's finishing, who's not.
It's just Kazizel, Valtters and Fabi, but they're all in laps. Simo is also on in laps, so that is it for qualifying, with Korn in pole position right now with a 1:24.4. 2 tenths shy on my prediction, but there we go. He was in F3 last season, promoted to F2, and there were some F3 drivers last season that did very, very well. M Short, don't forget, he's in F1 this season. Could this be the season we're looking for him? We'll find out, but he set the benchmark for now in P1, but he's almost a tenth quicker than P2 of Kazizel at the moment. And I've just found out what happened to KJ. His controller, unfortunately, disconnected. Let's hope his controller fixes itself before the start of the race, because they don't have long to go until the formation lap, of course. But there's Cornet on pole, and Kazizel will be on the front row with him.
Very close qualifying session, and as we say, it's under a tenth of a second between the top 5. I mean, that is incredible. Now my time's updating. Okay, it's not as close as I apologize. Mine have only just updated there now, so I wasn't actually seeing any improvements on my screen. We've got two identical times up there for Fabi and Suku. Never saw that. So actually, it's only 700s between the top two. But still, regardless, we've got a 9-10 split between the field. No one a further than a second back. So still a very close session. Also, we lost that one car earlier on in the session, which was a shame. But I'm sure he will be on the pace as well in the Aston Martin as we get ready to see the start of this race.
So we'll go quickly through the results. We got Korn, Kazizel, Valters, Fabi, Suko, Simo, Baraka, KJ, Eltink, Lars and Louis will be inside the top 10. Then we got Brock, Dezo, CC Brain, Benny, Gil, Recon, Riz, Ashbest, Izzo and Hadler outside the top 10, and they will get the free choice of tyres for tonight's Bahrain Grand Prix, which is 29 laps. We're running the normal layout of the circuit. Formula 1 has raced on 3 variations of the circuit in the past, with all but one Bahrain Grand Prix taking place on the Grand Prix layout. And last year, obviously in 2020, we all remember the outer layout that was used, the Sakiro Grand Prix. That was an interesting and crazy race to be admired anyway, where we saw Perez taking his first F1 win. Will we see someone take their first maiden win in PSGL? Will we see Korn take his first F2 win on his F2 debut? That'll be amazing to see, won't it? But all those thoughts and questions will be answered at the end of the race as the drivers are getting their strategies sorted and also their fuel calculated as well, because they do not have the rich mix and the lean mix throughout the race this season unless there's a safety car, but they do have an option for the lean mix. So they have to basically just choose the amount of fuel they have in the car, which they think they'll get to the end of the race. If they put too little or too much, it will compromise their race. If they put too little, they'll run out of fuel and there'll be loads of people that will dive past everybody. So we will see as we get everyone on the grid now for the formation lap. We're seeing quite a mixture of tyres at the moment as I get the telemetry stuff for you, as everybody outside the top 10 has gone for the medium compounded tyres. No one has opted for the hard, so I'm guessing, like we said earlier on, they were listening and watching the PC tiers earlier on in the week and got a bit of advice on what strategy to do.
Yeah, they've seen what works basically, and they're going to see what they can do now. I might need to drop out of the lobby quickly because my Wi-Fi's died, so give us a minute. I need you to do some talking.
No worries, that is fine. Luckily we got backup invites hopefully as well. If not, we will send some invites his way anyway. So drivers to watch out for in this race. Brock especially, who's the alternate strategy pole position as well. Gil, here I would say is the alternate strategy OP king, I would say. Remember in a few races in F1 and a few seasons ago where he has performed very, very well with the alternate strat. If he does well with the medium to soft, he could be on the podium, potentially maybe top 5. CC Brain and Benny did very, very well in Bahrain last season. In the Bahrain short track, of course, not the full track, but they did quite well. Haller as well was up there. Suko was there to pick up the pieces. Elting pretty much won the race if it wasn't for penalties, but he was hanging in there. But he's only 8th for the moment, though. He's got to make some positions up in the race. And I wasn't expecting Kazizel to be up near the front. Some people in the chat said he's a qualifying merchant and Mr. Saturday. Will he be a Super Sunday, as in a Super Race Day person? It'll have to be seen to be relieved, of course. I'm not going to predict, and I'm sure Owen, you're not going to predict either who's going to win this race, as people are probably going to bottle it as well, as everybody is going onto the grid to line up in their grid slots, and we'll just wait for the last few drivers to do so. And luckily not many people holding each other up, which is good news, apart from if you're Haller. I think Haller's going to be the last driver on the grid. Owen, are you back in the lobby?
Ah, yes, I'm back.
Brilliant.
Got it sorted out nice and quickly. So, yes, I think I need 2 LAN cables. That's where I'm going wrong. My Wi-Fi's not good enough, but luckily it's here for the race, and I'm here for the race start. No one starts on the hards. I saw a few people were using the hards in PC races, but they're going to go for that in the second stint, I guess, as we see the last car of Hadler on the grid. And it's a long run down to turn 1 here. We've got Korn on pole. We've got Kazizel beside him on the front row. We're staged from Ferrari. And we are away in Bahrain. Looks like a really decent start from Wouters. Let's see if we can get alongside the top 3. I reckon we're side by side. All 3 of them into turn 1. And Wouters has a really good run. Let's see if we can go right round the outside of all of them. We're still 3 wide. You want to break away as you head into turn 2. There could be collisions so easily. But somehow Kazizel's got right round the outside. He's up into the lead. Now let's see if Wouters can try and get any sort of slipstream. He's lost his momentum by the looks of it. Korn has got a good run, will stay in second place. Further out, we've got some side by side. We've got Barak and we've got Suku going side by side. Fabi alongside Eltink as well. Everyone seems to be staying clean for 9, although there is a little bit of contact with Eltink and Fabi. We're all making it through. Look out for that curve as well on the exit of 7. You want to make sure you don't go spinning off on that one. Further up in front, we're still holding the lead for Kazizel. He really did quite well there to hold that when they were 3 wide. So easy to make a mistake and lose it. As Simo now tries to get involved with Eltink and Fabi. What a dramatic start, Jess.
Yeah, it was. Some people driving it cautiously, a lot of people taking a few risks as well, and Eltink looks like he's going to go on the back of Fabi once again. You don't want to be too close, Eltink, because the dirty air through 12 is not a best place to be in, I have to say. So Eltink will probably have to move further back as Deso, I think, has been having some internet issues. He's gone for a little bit of a
Simo's
spin.
off.
Simo's off as well.
Interrupt there. That was a big spin, yeah. I reckon they'll have lost that whole front wing. They don't tend to put safety cars like that, but sometimes I've seen VSCs for that. But I think they would have put something out by now if they were going to. So I think we'll keep going green as we have our normal glitches. The order is messing about, but trust me, we're still all looking good. Iso is into the pit as well. I wonder if he maybe had a bit of contact with Simo. But both cars have got back to the pits. They will hopefully continue on now and be able to hopefully get back into the race later. Perhaps we get safety cars, perhaps for that. Recon's gone off. Can he get himself back on? Yes, he can. Fabi and Eltink are still going for side by side. He did this on lap 1 as well. And Eltink once again comes back out in front now of Fabi, who just has to step back because I don't want to go side by side too much with that turn 6 and 7 because it is so easy to understeer and it will lead to contact if you do so. So Eltink now ahead on a McLaren. Still looking up at the front because he's still leading the race. He's going to maybe want to try and get out of that DRS zone, but I'm not too sure how easy that's going to be. This is train central round here. It's so difficult to break out, but if you can, you should be clear for a good, decent time. Out of the soft runners, by the way, the only one who lost some proper ground was Lars. He's fallen behind Deso, and he's fallen behind CC Brain. So Deso and CC Brain, the top alternate strategy drivers, look out for them when the pit stops come into play because they should be the ones making the grind up. And finally our orders fixed itself, so because it'll still lead the race, but as you can see, Jess, we've got a huge train.
Yes, the DRS train which goes for miles. Forget the trolley train, it is the Kazizel train as well. That could go for ages and ages, and I think who's going to blink first? We saw that in Bahrain Shore last season. We got the Williams driver that's going to go side by side with the McLaren. That is Louis going for a move there into turn 1. But will Fabi want the DRS? I think that's what he wants. He's going to go for the move heading towards turn 4. He's past turn 3 now. Side by side they go. Fabi attacks on the right, and Louis wanted to try and defend on that one, but it was so hard for him as well. KJ's got a penalty, similar to what Max Verstappen did in the race in 2021 in real life. That is not what Eltink wanted to do, of course, in front of these guys as well, which is so close. So with Fabi making the move, I'm sure other people will be making moves up and down the grid as well. Fabi's probably one of the fastest drivers out there right now as well, and he's really closing in on to Eltink right now. Eltink could be closing up to Suku too very, very soon as well, and I don't think Louis was very happy with being passed there as well because he was so close in getting the move, but he just had to back out there because otherwise he would have gone into a spin if he stayed on the inside there, and luckily there was no contact from any one of those drivers as well. The front 2, they just not budge. We do have a yellow flag. That is turn 12, and that is at AlphaTauri, and that's CC Brain. Yeah, it is CC Brain, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of cars involved. There were 3 or 4 of them all went off the track, so I'm wondering what actually happened there. But everyone seems to have got away without any damage. It just seemed it was a bit of a mess. And CC Brain did eventually get away with no damage, but up the front, a bit early I would have thought to be doing moves like this, especially when you're so early into the stint, because what you're going to do is you're going to invite the whole field. We said this a lot last season, and ironically I keep asking for, in fairness. Race as much as you can, but it is just suicide in the race. Luckily, Corn hasn't fallen back, nor is Cazzizzle or Valters, but when you get that close and you start fighting too early, you can find yourself in trouble as Risa ends up off the track. He's recovering, and I don't think he's got any damage. But yeah, Corn certainly making his intentions clear, but once you've done that once as well, it makes Cazzizzle aware that you're there, and you can't get too close after that without having maybe some more problems.
Yes, exactly. Valtters, I think, doing the best out of the ones that got demoted from F1 last season as well, and definitely he's showing that he's still got the pace, he hasn't lost it, and he could be a championship contender, but was only on lap 4 of the races. Recon, I believe, has got a penalty as well. I believe that's his first one of the race so far. That is very early to be picking up penalties. If you get penalties at this stage of the race, which is lap 4, it is so hard to not keep getting more penalties. You'll be getting too many at this rate as well. So how about keeping the penalty down as well? As you can see, Valtter's a little bit too far away from Corn. Corn has got the DRS on Cazzizzle. Louis set the fastest lap of the race. Cazzizzle moves to the right, but he closes the door on Corn quite nicely heading towards turn 1. Great defensive move from him as well. Baraka has got past Suko, or does he? Suku's trying to go long on the Alfa Romeo driver as he's got the DRS. Corn's going for the move for the lead of this race into turn 4, and I think he's got it. He's got it, and we got Suku going side by side with Baraka.
Cazzizzle's cut back, yes. He nearly went for it again, and he's got Corn all over the road. This is what I'm saying. You're losing so much time doing this. Valters is not going around outside of Cazzizzle. It's so risky to fight this early into the race. But that was a strong defence from Cazzizzle, in fairness. He had a little bit of a slide toward a 4, and that's what cost him that. He would have been able to pull ahead again into the chicane, and Corn would have had to back off. But in fairness, that's Corn being aggressive. But now what he's done is used a little bit of ERS. Cazzizzle can now sit there and take the ERS and use it on that main straight. It does appear that it might just be that little bit easier to get past that car that doesn't have DRS in front of you. Something which we maybe saw was a bit more difficult on the last game. We'll see if Cazzizzle's got any sort of response, because Valters and Suko are both looking quite aggressive here, and we'll see if they are able to come back. Corn's pulled a 4/10 of a second gap. I've always sort of said you need about 4/10 of a second to have a go in towards turn 1 here, and Cazzizzle had another bit of a slide at the final corner. Let's see what sort of run both him and Valters get. You can see Cazzizzle, he closes right up. We've seen that before already in this race. Corn doesn't really know where to go, so he stays on the racing line. Cazzizzle goes back down the inside to take the lead. Corn will try and cut back somewhat and try and get that run towards 4. We saw him do this on the last lap, and now this time Valters nearly loses it. He would have had the run. Corn does have the run. He's going round the outside of 4. He wants to be aware of the Aston Martin that would have been past him if he didn't have that massive slide. Was nearly into the wall at turn 3's exit, but kept it. And Cazzizzle is back into the lead of this race. This could be a back and forth affair, but like I said, the more you do this, the more cars you introduce. Look at this massive train. It's still as close as ever, Jess.
Yeah, it is, and these two drivers have got to get a move on. They should be working together to try and increase the gap to everybody else, not switching positions, I have to say, because it's not about where you are at this point in the race, it's where you are at the end of the race as well, and these drivers will have to pit soon as well, and you're going to be just losing so much time, and Suku could be taking advantage, even Baraka as well. Fabi, even from drivers up to P9, Lars could be in this too. He's technically still in this train as well, and Corn will probably want to help his teammate too as well, which could be very, very exciting indeed. The drivers to benefit would be Suku as he's a few temps off, but Corn is looking brilliant heading towards the final corner, but it's just a ding-dong battle, isn't it? As Cazzizzle's got plenty of ERS.
4 cars going to be in this.
Yeah, 2 cars going to be in it. Here comes Corn. And we got Valters and Suku maybe as well. Suku's dropped a little bit, but Corn takes the lead. Oh, look at Valters on Cazzizzle there. Cazzizzle was not expecting that at all, heading towards turn 1 and 2. I think Valters looking very, very good, but Cazzizzle's got the cutback. Here comes Valters. That is allowing Corn to pull away just a little bit on Cazzizzle. So Cazzizzle could not pull the move that he was looking for. Suku almost had the slide there, but Baraka didn't get the move done either. But that was very close between the Ferrari driver and Valtters. The gap now has increased from about 2 tenths to 5 tenths up front, and that is what the Mercedes driver definitely wanted. Oh, it looked like Suko was going for a move through turn 7 and 8 there, but he couldn't do it, unfortunately. He's gained 1 position in this race. The Alfa Romeo behind Baraka, he's gained 2 places. Those two are having a stellar race so far. The biggest gainer, I have to say, this race, Ash Best gained 6 places of his time position. I know Ash Best is an alternate strategy man. He's definitely going on the alternate strategy because I've heard word from that earlier on today in one of the chats I was in with him. But hopefully he could pick up the pace where he is and potentially challenge up near the points later. But that is not all about him right now. It's about these top 4 runners who've got a point to prove. Expect the drivers to come in roughly about now if they're going on for the hard compound of tyres, as I think some of them may go in. No one is going in yet, I don't think. So maybe the next lap will be the people going for the hards, or will they try and go for the gamble medium? Here comes Dessa actually on Louis heading towards turn 1. Oh, there's contact.
Cazzetto has smashed into the back of the race leader. I don't think he's got any visual damage, but we always tend to see maybe a bit of light yellow. Surely Valtters has got to make a move now. He's had so much pace in this race. I reckon he's got really good pace, but he just has struggled. Now he's up to second place. I honestly don't think he'll have that much of an issue getting by Corn. But the problem is, and what we're finding out now in this race, it's a race that you really don't want to be leading. I didn't think we'd ever say this about Bahrain, where somehow being in the lead, in the old games, you'd never be able to race like this. But it appears the race is a lot more competitive now. It feels a bit like we're watching Indy, really, this, where it's just lead changes every lap because you simply do not want to head this thing. Because ERS is what's the key here. Because it appears that ERS is so much easier to save at the minute. Because, look, everyone's got plenty to use. And down that main straight, ERS plus DRS, plus slipstream from cars behind, the DRS trains don't appear to be as bad as they used to be. And these cars can race. Let's see if Valtters can get through Corn now as he heads through the final corner. He's got half a second on Cazzetto, but let's see how close that is by the time we get towards turn 1. Cazzetto's had a bad corner. He's had a bad corner, but let's have a look at Valtters. He's going to be going for the race lead. Corn's held it for a couple of laps, but as we've seen, he doesn't even actually use his ERS, does Valtters. He's just going straight past into turn 1. Suko as well having a little look as the Mercedes has to get out of the way of Corn. That could open the door for Suko. He's already got Cazzetto. I think Corn's alright though on the exit, but he's not going to get back at Valtters, who takes the lead for Aston Martin. And look at this, Cazzetto's going to lose another position, is he? As right around the outside goes Bakar. That's a fantastic move. He can make a stick, but he's had to back off. Fabi now has a little look as he heads through to the chicane. Down the inside he goes. Barca has to back off because there'll be an accident if you're not careful. Louis is also in the back of this, and now all of a sudden he was looking to go into 4th place. Now Louis is trying to take 6th off him. What a fantastic battle we're having throughout the field at the moment. This is brilliant stuff.
This is a brilliant opening race. I like to see this as well. All the top contenders are fighting it out, and it's only the first race as well where we still got points on offer, and we haven't even decided the championship yet. This is insane. They're fighting, and it's the last round of the season. That is brilliant to see. We did see one driver go into the pits early. That is Lars. Now, that is early if you want to go onto the medium tyres. So I'm almost certain the mediums won't go to the end on this point. I thought he would go on the hards personally. So for Lars, he'll probably go for the 2-stop. How we saw Izzo go in for a little spin. And luckily, Hadler just about avoided that. So that was close for comfort. But Korn is on at the bat of Valtters again. Well, any of these 2 pit. Well, Korn has to follow Valtters in, really, which he does. Soko stays out. And so does Baraka and Fabi. Desso, well, Desso stays in because obviously he's on the mediums, but only the top 3 still yet to pit. That's probably a risk not worth taking because the undercut's just so powerful around here. Everybody that's just pitted has gone for the medium sides. They're all going for the soft to medium strategy. I thought they would be going soft to hards, but they want to try the aggressive strategy and see if it pays off. Those mediums are going to be dead at the end of the race, but I can't wait to see this battle towards the end unfold as Valtters still leads Korn. It's a shame we can't really see the undercut to a full advantage, really, but I think we will see it with Suko especially, and maybe Fabi with some of these drivers, with the likes of Louis as well, who's just pitted recently. So, but most people just pitted onto the mediums. A bit of a surprising thought, but let's see if it pays off towards the end where their tyres are almost going to be dead.
So Suko, as you say, obviously we're going to see a bit of an undercut with him, but he has at least made a second on Fabi, so he's clearly pushing enough. But yeah, I'm surprised we're all seeing everyone pitting medium, because I guess they think it's worth doing if they can get to the end. Yeah, but we'll see what they do. Obviously, the best time we'll get is these medium runners. Will they now move to the softs at the end of the race? making people like Deso, who can still see Suko relatively close to him, he could be right up there at the end, because he's now going to see those top 3 all pit. He's now going to become the lead driver on the Ultra strategy, and I reckon we're going to see a bit of a similar fight to what we saw with the front runners earlier on, just as the Ultra strategy drivers. But let's see. Everyone else who's pitting at the moment, it is also medians for everyone. So they're clearly okay with taking them, I assume, to the end. A 2-stop doesn't seem like it makes much sense at the minute. But let's see, as they all come out of the pits, what sort of gap Valtters will have on them. And if Cazezza will get through all of them as well. And even Louis. Louis trying to get round the outside. That is Suko. He was the man who was fighting Cazezza earlier. And now Louis has jumped him. And he's up. He's probably ahead of Fabian Barca as well. So he's worked out quite well for Louis. Made 2 or 3 positions. But can Suko come back on him? I'd be surprised if on cold tires he can make this stick straight away, as he has some contact. Will Louis be able to hold it around the outside? He is going to be able to try, but I think he has to back up now as we enter the S section, which he does. But, well, maybe on the warm tires, he might have a little look into turning it as he goes down the inside. Nearly contact. There is a little bit of tapping on the side pod. Nothing too major. We're still side by side. He's used some ERS, Louis, to try and stay in touch. And I think Suko's now properly ahead of him. So, hard-fought battle, but the undercut, it has worked somewhat for Louis, because he's not in this fight, but he was nearly ahead. And you can see Korn and Valtters are stuck behind Eltink now, who's on the hards. I assume he's going to try to go to the end on these. He's not going to have too much pace, but if Valtters gets stuck just enough, it might help Korn to get a chance to pass him. He's used a lot of ERS as a Mercedes driver, so he's trying everything he can to stay in touch. And this could get quite good towards turn 1. Valtters, he is having to slow it up in that last corner. He can't get close enough to Eltink to really make any sort of move until turn 1, where he will, in fairness, get a really nice run. And if he makes a clean move, maybe that'll just help him against Korn. But look at that, Korn's got such good straight line speed. And if he can just stick behind Valtters now, he might have his chance, but he's making contact with Eltink. He's nearly spun it. In fact, the Haas stopped him from going round, and that might be making Valtters race now.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the first point in the race where the race leader has got a comfortable gap as well. And if Will Valtters gets a penalty, which I hope he doesn't, he will be able to challenge for the win and have that buffer as well. So Korn is using his ERS, but he's in a danger of getting held up by Eltink and running out of ERS at the same time, because we use too much in Bahrain. You're not going to have much at the end of this race, so you've got to really save as much as you can, as well as KJ is not budging as well. Don't forget Eltink has got a time penalty to his name. Korn does not as well. And we all know that Korn is faster. He did get pole position in this race, and Korn must be kicking himself. He could see Valtters just pulling away behind as well, and he's going to be out of DRS range to Valtters as well, which is not ideal. And this could really ruin his championship chances before he's even begun, because it could be some races like this where it really could decide certain situations. Like we said last season, the championship was only won by 1 point, and we look at some races where the one who lost out, which was Zuko, where did he struggle and where the championship was lost for him. But here comes Korn anyway. I think he's finally going to get past Eltink and into turn 1, but I think it's damage done already, unfortunately. But he's still within DRS range of Valtters, so hope is not lost. We got Benny, who's got past Ash Best into 4th. Ash Best having gone off. VSC. We've seen a VSC turn into a safety car before on this game, but I think it's going to stay a VSC. Yeah, his front wing does not look at all. His chance of an alternate strategy is not good at all. If I were him, obviously he has to pit. He can't go on softs now, it's too early. He'll probably have to go on the hards, but at least he could go to the end without being punctured, which is good. But his climb through the field is not going to be good, and his chance of points is getting a little bit slim at the moment. But it's only the first round for Ash Best, but it may be over before it's even begun for him. But yeah, he can't even get through turn 12. He's going to get CC Brain to pass him as well, maybe once the safety car is over. Will that release the likes of Deso, Gil and Brock into the pits to go on the hards with the VSC, because they lose so much less time? But it opens a whole another level of strategy here. They may want to go on the softs, but they could go on the hards. Is Deso going to pit? No, he does not. Gil doesn't. Brock doesn't.
It must be about to end.
Ah, right, okay, so it's about to end, so it would be too little too late there. But Ash Best goes in, of course he did, because he's got damage and he's going to go on the hards until the end of the race.
I guess they want the sauce because the VSC is still out, so they could have pitted if they wanted to, and they would have saved about half the time. We've gone green now, and I tell you what, Korn has made a massive advantage. Look at this, he's all over the back of Valters now, and he decides not to dive. Elting's still holding up Kazil, but I think Valters has had a poor restart to this race, and that has put Korn back in the fight. As I said though, Valters, I do think he's the fastest guy out there at the minute, or at least one of the fastest. He has got the speed, but when Korn's got the 3 DRS zones, he's going to need a really good performance, and this is going to eat into their tyres. Like I say, those medium guys, they seem determined to get to softs so they can properly fight this. And yeah, we'll see what happens. But as long as Korn stays in the DRS, it could make this a fascinating scrap at the end. Like Zizzle is finding the same issues that Korn's having when it comes to overtaking Elting, and it could put him under pressure from Suko. I noticed that Fabi got by Louis, by the way, as well, so that's the McLaren up in front of the Williams. I don't know when that happened, actually, but we got a yellow flag because we have just seen Recon retire. Now, look out for a safety car for this one, and we've another virtual. Now Desso is pitting because he can use the whole VSC for this. He knows he will surely get the whole VSC in for this pit stop. And I guess he thinks that's worth losing the set of softs that he would have been getting at the end. CC Brain thinks similarly. And
Reese as well.
I think Reese as well. So, will Desso get to the end of this pit lane before we go back to green? There are the race leaders, the net race leaders. Will he actually jump them? I reckon he might even jump them here. As he comes out, he's not quite. He hasn't quite, but he's right in the train now. Slightly fresher tyres, but I don't know if that was worth it, honestly. It would have been worth it if he'd got ahead. But now that he's in the middle of Kazizel and Suko, yeah, I wonder what he's going to think about that, because I'm not too sure he'd be able to fight these guys. If he was ahead of them, maybe, but where he is now as we go back to green, possibly wasn't the best move. I mean, it's better than how it worked out for Risa. And CC Brains put the softs on that. That would be amazing if he gets that to the end. I doubt it though, but well, he's
there's no way those softs are going to make it to the end. I would say lap 18, 19 at the earliest you would pit for softs. Not around about lap 14. So CC Brain is probably have to stop one more time.
You know, we'll see though. We'll see. Maybe he can do it. He must think he can do it if he's put them on. He must think he can, because if he can do it, he's put himself in a very nice position, because he will almost certainly have jumped Gil and Brock and Benny, and at the very least, if they do get to the end, he'll be the lead car on them. I'd be surprised though, but these sorts of gambles could be what makes you a race, and you can see him all over the runoff area. He's pushing already. But back up at the net race leaders, Korn all over Valters. I think we're about to start fighting again, folks. Here we go. Down towards turn 1. Korn pulls alongside. That's what being within that 1 second does. It's not much of an issue for the drivers anymore. You can definitely race, but now Valters gets the run, and Korn nearly sent it spinning off into the turn 3 tyre barrier, and Valters isn't going to go for the move up to turn 4. It was an easy opportunity, but he decided not to use his ERS. The thing is, Korn barely used any. He's only on to, what, 60%? Which is fine. You can fight with that. So, ERS is really proving to not be much of a problem this year. You have no idea how happy I am about this. These guys can properly fight and not ruin their race as a result. Fantastic.
They could concentrate on the racing as well, because they don't have to worry about the fuel mixtures every lap. They could just concentrate on the actual racing on track without worrying. I honestly agree with them changing the fuel mixtures to like it was in real life with the party mode ban. Was probably the best thing F1 games have done in a long time, because you know they could go flat out as well. They're not compromising their runs a little bit as well, and this is just absolutely fantastic. And the drivers been using the overtake for a second game now, I believe, as well, so they're probably used to knowing when to use the overtake button and when not to as well. And the VSCs have definitely helped the chance for people to save ERS. What Valters, I don't know why, he's almost on like 100% battery at the moment. Don't know what he's up to, but he's getting a good run on Korn heading towards turn 1. This could be make or break for him, but he could get the move into turn 4 most likely as well. Elting's within this fight as well. If the ones on the mediums push too much, I think Deso could be on course to be winning this race because his tyre management so far is perfect. He's running out of VRS, unfortunately. There is a yellow flag.
Gil.
That is Gil.
Gil, wow. He's done it on the curb, surely. He's lost half his front wing as well. What I was going to point out as he gets a penalty for a cut in the corner as he returns.
Aww.
Look who's arrived already on the back of this train. CC Braid is flying right now, and he's surely going to be carving through these guys as soon as possible. And this will be the real proper test. If he gets through quick enough, as he's already heading through Barca, that's so risky on the curb, on the braking, but he's making it work. He'll surely have the grip on the exit. This guy is the fastest guy here by a long way, and he can see the leaders in front of him. This is going to be some run from him because he's going to have to push every lap. If he wants to stop again, he has to push. And if he wants to get his tyres to the end, I reckon he'll still have the raw grip to do so because none of these guys have really new tyres as Gil is letting people through. That might give Elting a bit of DRS. Elting, of course, doesn't really have to pit again. If we're thinking mediums can go half the race, surely these can go near enough the whole race, these hards, and that's why he's still up there. It's ruining Kazizel's day, but I don't think Elting really minds too much. He'll be hoping these guys get some more penalties, and this is getting a bit messy now towards turn 1 because Kazizel is going to have a try. And look at that, Kazizel on the brakes, very good indeed, as he just about avoids Valters and gets through Elting as well. That was good precision driving. Will Elting be able to get him on the exit? No, I don't think so. So Kazizel now gets to join this leading fight. Brock, the only one now out there who hasn't stopped yet in this race, and Gil has come out way down, as you can see.
Yeah, one of the drivers who was the one to watch because he was in the alternate strategy, I would say, good position, and he was planning to do very, very well in the past, but that's a bit of a shame now as we've got Deso, who's already caught up again on Soko as we head towards turn 9, as Soko had to go late on the brakes there past 9 and into turn 10 now, but Deso, I would say, his tyres is in good nip. I thought he was saving his tyres at the moment, but at least he has the advantage of making sure his tyres go to the end. His tyres will comfortably go to the end here. He'll have 3 or 4 laps extra grip compared to the millions where they'll just be on the cusp of absolutely dying. So Deso could push towards the end. He's probably safe now, but if I were him, don't go for moves just yet until the very end because otherwise the train is going to grow once more. But he's also got to worry about CC Brain, who could get Fabi. Oh no, there's Fabi and CC Brain that made contact. Fabi spun and CC Brain had nowhere to go.
Luckily, CC Brain's got no damage, and I tell you what, Brock's just stuck on the softs. CC Brains are only 3 laps older. They're getting to the end. They're getting to the end. He has a penalty, which is quite frustrating, and he has just lost a couple of positions as well. Oh, I don't know. He's side cutting corners. Maybe he does have some damage. We'll wait and see.
Side
as
pod, maybe.
Suko dives it down the inside on Eltink, and it hasn't really worked out that. Has he got any damage? Like, it was quite a big knock there as he got through. And, well, didn't get through, that's the whole point. He sort of hit him and failed to make the overtake. And more yellow flags for Risa now, who has found himself off the track, but he seems to be recovering now. So, CC Brain, if that incident hadn't happened, he would have been right up there. Maybe he can recover now, but it feels to me like he's so slow he must have some sort of damage. Where was he hit, Jess?
I think it was right in the middle. I think he hit Fabi right, or it was Fabi actually right in the middle. So I think it could be. It doesn't look like his floors. I'm just looking at his car now to see if he's got floor damage.
It's floor damage. It has to be. Look, he's so slow through the fast corners.
Yeah, it is. Oh, I can see one part of his car. The floor's completely gone. So yeah, it is the floor. There's one half where it looks okay, but the other half is just. Yeah, another driver that I said would do well. I should stop predicting these drivers who could be one to watch out for. I'm going to end up shutting up next week with these one to watch things because they never work out. First Gil, I said one to watch. He binned it. CC Brain binned it. Can I just go home now? As Brock has got past Lars, as CC Brain's had enough again. CC Brain is Dave gone. I think he's so struggling with the floor damage. I've never experienced floor damage on this game. You might have in career mode or something. It must be killer if you get it because you can't repair it like front wing damage, and you have to live until the end of the race.
Over.
Yeah.
It is race over. You lose too much time, especially in one of these lobbies where everyone's so quick. So, with CC Brain sadly out of the picture, we have to look to Benny now because he is currently 8.4 seconds off the lead of this race. If they start fighting a bit more at the front, which they've actually sort of been refraining from doing, I wonder if they're also starting to see the threat behind. If these two get up the road quick enough and start making moves, then they could be right up there at the end of this race. They've got 9 laps to go at the end of this one. That's plenty of time. We've got to start seeing the purple laps though from him, Benny. He has been on these for a lap already. This should be the big purple fastest lap. And if it is, then we've got a race in our hands for him to try and win. He's already got that gap under 8 seconds, and the top 2 are starting to fight again. And so that's going to help him catch even more, because this train is so big. Down towards turn 1, Valters, Brock and Benny trading fastest laps, but Valters is back in front. Korn didn't fight that as much as I feared he might, because I'm sure they are aware of the threat coming behind for them. They'll just stay in this train as CC Brain does pit and retire. He had no choice with that damage. It's a game changer. It ends your race when that happens. And I'm sure Stuart will be looking at that one potentially. But yeah, that train of 6. It's a train of 6 at the minute. And the thing is, they are all different cars, I believe, as well. In fact, the top 7 is all different teams. And so there's going to be no messing about with teammates or anything like that. It's all going to be every man for themselves. Perhaps the Shizhu drivers might maybe have a little bit of an alliance, but the point is, it's going to be elbows out here. And everyone's going to be fighting for their own thing here. No teammate messing about. It's every man for themselves here. And when these soft runners arrive, I'm sure we're going to get some fireworks. What's the gap now? The gap now is... the gap is 7 seconds. He's closed 2 seconds on this last lap.
Benny's going to get them.
Benny's coming. But he's got to pass so many cars. But as you've seen, that's not as hard as we maybe feared it might be today. So this could be a fascinating finish. Stay tuned for this one, people. Do not go to F1.
No.
Watch this fight for the win. As Korn comes through on Valters. You can watch the end of F1 qualifying after this. No one wants to watch qualifying. This is fascinating stuff. As Kazisla and Suko as well go for it. That's 2 sets of people fighting away. Valters, once again, is saving plenty of ARS. At the end of this race, he's going to have so much to use. It could be pivotal to him winning this race. But at the moment, it's Korn that leads the way. From Valters, Kazisla and Suko, Elting, Deso, Baraka, and then Louis and Benny and Brock. Any of these 10, maybe apart from Eltink and Louis, just due to their penalties, could still win this thing. And Benny, what's the gap now? The gap is 6.5 seconds.
Wow.
It is closing. And once he catches the first car, that's going to be the most important thing. How quickly will he clear Louis? Because that will tell us a lot about how this pans out as Hadler's into the pit lane to retire. It will tell us a lot about how he's going to be able to carve through this field. Because Brock will be ready to take advantage if Benny messes up. Those two want to make sure they don't mess about too much. As Suko, look at him all over the back because there's a really close race in here at the minute. And yeah, this is going to be brilliant.
This is going to be fantastic as well. And if Benny wants to get past these medium and hard runners, he needs to get them done now. Because when he gets to 7-8 laps on the softs, their tyres are going to be dead for Benny. So the sooner they get past, the better. But Suko is looking very, very good on Kazizzle. But Kazizzle's looking very good on Valters. Kazizzle is coming back all of a sudden. Where's his pace all of a sudden? He had a good start. Valters could get launched from Kazizzle. They're heading towards turn 2. Valters closed the door there.
So quick.
They're just so quick.
He's going to get both of them.
He's going to get both of them into turn 4. Is it going to be the launch of dreams for him?
Oh, he's hit him.
Oh, that was so tight. But Suko almost...
Brock's got Benny.
Brock's got Benny. So now Brock is going to say, right, you know what? If you can't do it, Benny, I can. As his first target is Louis in the Williams. I almost lost track of where he was in it because he was in a Haas a few seasons ago. But there we go. We got another yellow flag. That is Lars out of the race.
Safety car. Is it safety car? That's safety car potential. Because you'd be seeing, I'd imagine, a flurry of pit stops, but I'm not seeing a safety car pop up on the screen, so they might just be getting away with that.
I think so.
But it's a nasty looking spin. That's a turn 8 one again. Gill had survived that somewhat earlier with front wing damage, but it appears that Mercedes is absolutely totaled. No safety car. The car is just simply despawned. So Yeah, potential heart attacks there have been prevented, but it is nice to do 1, 2, 3. Which one of them is going to win it? Brock has now caught Louis. How quickly is he going to get the Williams? Because he's got to start getting through people now. 6 to go. If he wants a chance at the victory, even if he wants a chance at the podium, he's got to start moving now. Has he got the grip to dive down the inside of people?
Nah.
Not quite. He wants to show himself, but not quite dive them just yet. He knows once he gets Louis, that Baraka should be quite easy since he hasn't got any DRS to worry about. And here comes Brock then. He's making the first move. Down the inside of Louis, he's up to 8th. And I imagine he might well be able to get Baraka soon, if not pretty much by the end of this lap. And after that, he's on to the leaders' train. It's as simple as that. He's in the same shot as the leaders. This is going to be fantastic. As Kazizel nearly loses it. He might be under a little bit of pressure from Eltink there if he does that again. Eltink, who's driving a good race. It's a shame about that penalty he picked up on lap 3 so early on to the race, because on these hards, he's done a decent job to hold off people. He's lost a couple of battles, but still sitting in the top 5, which he will lose thanks to the penalty. It's still a really respectable drive, and surely hasn't lost any of the pace that he showed last season. Shame, as you say, he's only a reserve, but still making a good showing for himself. If anyone ever drops out of this league, he will surely be one of the drivers at the very top of the list to go straight into a full-time drive, if of course he's got the time for it. But let's see if we can get some more action at the front, Jess.
Hopefully we can as well. We thought the first race last season was crazy enough. Can we just have the first race in Bahrain every season? Because it always brings out crazy and insane races. Here comes Brock. He's on a mission to get into the lead train. We also got Corn on Valters as well. That's the most important battle that we're seeing as well.
Easy.
Valters, yeah, easy got the move done there. We got Soko as well in this as well. He could get the victory here as well. He got the victory last season in a couple of races. He's looking to get another one here as well this season. He's got a championship to fight for. He just missed out last season. Benny's got past Louis as well, so he's trying to catch up some of the medium runners too, as Suka goes towards turn 8. They're looking a lot better on those mediums. I think Suku's mediums are probably starting to take effect for the ones who are on older mediums than him, because out of the ones on the medium, Suku could go to the end on those quite comfortably, whereas the other people, they're probably going to find it a little bit more difficult. Not sure about KJ. I don't know how he's going to get those hards to the end. Will he do a last splash and dash on the sauce? We will see. Dezo as well. Don't forget, Dezo is still in the picture. He can still win this race as well, because those hards will almost certain get to the end. Brock's within about 1.5 seconds of Dezo already. He's not that long before he's in that train. 1.4 now. He's going to be 1.3 sooner or later as we get to this end of this back straight of turn 14. He's lost a bit of time there, unfortunately. It's KJ spun. So is Dezo. Oh, and KJ's reset to track. And something that was pointed out by the stewards, you do not reset to track. And he's going to get penalised, unfortunately.
Back to the leaders.
Back to the leaders, though.
Look at this. Suko's trying to interrupt these two. They're doing a usual swap every lap, and Suko's decided, you know what, I fancy getting his now, and up towards turn 4. This could be 3 wide for the lead. Suko's been boxed in though. Can't do anything about that. Valters makes Korn move out of the way, and Suko's up into 2nd place.
Woo!
Korn's down to 3rd. That was not what he had planned. And so it's Valters now from Suko and Korn. Eltink now gets another penalty out of that spin. His race has fallen apart. He was salvaging some points, but now it's all gone a bit wrong. I don't know if Fabi's going to be able to catch up 3 seconds though. That might just save him, because he's fighting too much of asbestos and Rita, so he might actually still come home in P10 and get 1 point. And now Kazizel is all over the back of Korn, but it's not going to be able to get through. Brock on Deso. Time's running out for him now. I think he's going to struggle now to get up there unless these guys at the front really start to slow everyone down. He's made good progress. He's 4 seconds off the lead, but I guess the honeymoon period for these salts might be over a little bit, and it's starting to show as Valters pulls a 7/10 of a second advantage. See all that ERS I said he was saving earlier? He started to use it, and he's working out very well indeed. I think 7/10 should be enough to hold the lead here. Suko though is using some ERS. He's trying to close up. Let's see. So 7/10 out of the final corner. Let's see how much that closes with the DRS. It's only closing by half, basically. Ah, he's lagged. Has he lagged or have I lagged? Has he gone off?
It was
complete failure, I think.
He didn't go off. It was you.
Right. Thank goodness for that. I was about to say, because he's gone straight over the top, and I'm thinking that was a bit weird. Right, so he's still there.
You
So
gave
it
me a
goes
heart
down to
attack,
about the
Owen.
310s.
You gave me a heart
Well,
attack.
I was
like,
wondering
what
what was
happened?
How do you... What do you think I was looking at? Because I'm sitting there thinking, why is he going over him? That's not meant to happen. But okay, Benny's had a spin as well in other
Aw.
news. So he's still getting into points, but yeah, that just helps Elting a little bit. But I think he'll still actually regain those places, Benny, potentially, with the penalties a free ahead have. Still, that spin, that will be a little bit painful for him because he had a good strategy on there. He would move back up to 9th, but he won't be too pleased with that. Suko stays a bit closer on this lap. I wonder if he will have a challenge. Maybe he's saving himself for the final lap. Wouldn't surprise me. Like I say, it's a race you really don't want to be leading into this final lap, I don't think. As Gil retires as well.
Yeah, P retires in the pits. I think most people, apart from a few drivers, have retired in the pits. I think CC Bain was one of them. Gil was one of them, obviously. Someone's gone off. That is Red Bull. That is Simo in turn 7.
Yeah. Recovered though, luckily. And again, Suko closes towards turn 1. You can see the ERS, it's starting to bounce out a bit more. Brock's up to P5. You can see that top 4 in front of him now. I have a feeling those top 4 are going to fight a bit more, but Brock has been done by Desso with the turn 1, and that might end his campaign to try and win this thing, or at least get onto the podium. And I think someone else has been off as well. I'm trying to see. That might just be Gil's car actually coming back out on the track, isn't it? So no need to panic about that one. But surely these top 4, there's going to be some position changes on this last lap. I'd be very surprised if there isn't.
I'll be very surprised as well. I think Kazizzle may be the one that triggers this battle with Korn as well, and then Korn might try and attack on Suko. I don't know.
Off.
Oh, someone's off.
He's doing that line again.
Yeah, that's not what you want to do. That's not what you want to do in turn 10, my friend Korn.
No.
He's only got a penultimate.
Legal, isn't it?
It is. I mean, he's going to find it tough to get into P2. He's lost 2 positions in this race. He's starting on pole, and now he's down to 3rd. He's out of DRS to Suko. So that means Kazizzle's going to get him.
Oh, look at Valters. He's seeing this. He's slowing right down on the back straight. Why is he doing that? He must want Suko to pass him into turn 1.
Team
and then
orders.
he's going to do him up to turn 4. This is interesting. He's trying to dictate this battle on the final lap as Suzu fighting out for the win, because this is up to 3rd place. But here comes Suko. He's on the outside. Look out for Valtters on the inside. I think he wants to run to 4, but they're making contact. And they're so close. Indeed, Valtters gets the DRS, and Suko knows it. He's trying to force him down to the inside, Valtters, so he goes wide here, which he's done. And Suko makes contact and loses the back end. It was nearly perfect for Suko. He nearly made it stick, but in the end, he made contact, and Valtters, well, he had to try and dictate that fight. He knew he'd be under a lot of pressure, and he has made it stick. He's kept the race lead. Now if he can just get through these last few corners, he's going to be the winner of round 1. But it's, yeah, not quite finished yet. Let's not come to any conclusions too soon. Kazizzle, as I said, moved up to P3. And Brock did regain P5. He's just a couple of laps too late, though, for that one, unfortunately. He's not able to get involved for these top guys. Suko hasn't really got enough ERS either, so I don't think he's going to be able to challenge Valtters unless Valtters makes any sort of mistake. Suko, will he be feeling a little bit miffed, perhaps, about that contact at turn 4? It felt a little bit side pod glitchy, really. It wasn't really anyone's fault. But if he can get any sort of run out of this final corner, then he might just have a chance to drag him on the main straight, but I don't think it's on enough. Valtters comes round the final corner, the checkered flag is there, and round 1 in PSGL Season 29 goes to Valtters, your F2 Championship leader. What a drive as well. I said he was one of the quickest out there today, and he's proven it. He's won the race from Suko and Kazizzle, who completes the podium. Korn, Brock, Desso, Barca, Benny, Louis, and Eltink, I believe, will complete the points unless Ashbeth does them on penalties, or Fabi. Nope, not quite. Eltink did have enough in the end to stay in the points, and that is a fantastic season opener. Hope everyone enjoyed that. That was fantastic.
That was just amazing driving for Valtters all race. I think he was just very, very patient. He didn't go for the moves until he saw that there was room and there was space and stuff like that as well. And this is redemption for him. This is redemption for Valtters as my game crashes right on cue. Lovely, but at least the race is finished. So someone will need to screenshot the results. I think I'm going to probably get Ashbeth to do that. But that was amazing from him. And if Valtters wants a championship campaign to get started with, this is the season to do it as well. And we've seen many drivers like Samuel Bean went down from F1 to F2, had a strong F2 campaign, went to F1, and then in the next season in F1 they performed very well. So this could be Valtters' season to do brilliantly, and he's definitely got the season on the right foot as well. Soko again in second place. He's come accustomed to that, hasn't he? He was runner-up last season, and he starts the season with as Peter again.
Yes. But you know what? He had such a good fight today. I hope he's still happy with it, because it was a very good performance from Suko there. Yes, he did lose out just at the end. I'm sure he'll look at that and think, if I'd done that slightly differently, I would have won the race. But you know what? That whole podium deserved to be there. That was brilliant from all of them. So, yeah, fully deserved. Hopefully there's no bad feelings. Everyone likes each other, I think, anyway. We haven't got to the point where everyone's fighting yet. But, yeah, Korn, I don't really know what happened to him at the end. The pole sitter did have that wide moment at turn 10, but I think it must have been before that it went wrong for him, because he'd fallen outside that 1 second prior to that. Maybe he was just panicking a bit. Maybe he feels he could have or should have been on the podium. But still, that top 10 once again, just to confirm: Valtters, Suko, Gazizel, Korn, Brock, Desso, Baraka, Benny, Louis, and Eltink. That is your top 10 from round 1.
There we go then. What a race to start with, and we're hopefully going to get 3 drivers, if on the podium, to have a little bit of a chat to us and see how they feel after that race, because I was not expecting that top 3 going into it. So I was expecting Korn to be up there, but I was expecting Korn to win the thing. He looked very strong last week, and he didn't have it together. Maybe the pressure got to him, but there's always next week when we go to Circuit Paul Ricard in France, I believe is round 2. So maybe he'll shine there and probably perform a lot better. We will see. Bahrain's a different track to France, so we may see different people perform well in France, because it's obviously different characteristics, but we'll find out people's expectations in a minute. Is there anybody in the rating room? We had no one in the rating room last week either. No one loved us, so let's hope hopefully you can squeeze someone in. Who has been your driver of the day so far? I think I can count Brock as one of them, because Brock did an amazing performance as a reserve driver on the alternate strategy. Almost got the podium, but didn't. But again, like we said, it's a shame he's a reserve driver, but he definitely can perform when it counts, and if he becomes full-time, those points will already count when he joins the season.
Yeah, I'd say that Brock was certainly one of the drivers today, but I do think Valtters was the driver today, because I think to manage that, when we worked out so early on in the race just how much easier it was to fight, he had to make sure he was able to plan it out, and he knew exactly what he was doing going to that final lap. If he had driven that more sort of normally, I reckon Suko probably would have had him into turn 4, and he would have been able to do up and about it. But to manage that last lap to the point where he knew he was in control the whole way, that took a lot of skill. It was a very well-deserved win, so I'd say Valtters would be up there for driver today as well.
Yeah, I have to say so as well. I think Valtters was looking very, very confident as well. He was pulling moves like no tomorrow as well, so hopefully he could deliver like he did this in the last few races of the season, like he did in Bahrain potentially too as well. So now it doesn't look like we're hoping we could get at least Korn in, because at least he can actually. I thought he would want to speak to us, but it doesn't look like they want to speak to us. So I'm just trying to drag things on, as you see, because I don't know if they're going to come or not. We had that last season as well. We were about to end the stream. We did actually end the stream, and then we had the champion, the F2 champion, or someone. We had someone in the party waiting to go, and we just had to tell him, we just ended the stream, my friend. So, but I think we're not going to drag things too long. Let's wrap up the stream here. Thank you so much for watching the opening round of the season. It's been an absolute pleasure to cover the first round of the season, but there's still more action tonight. I need to double check which streams are on now. I know F1 is, which is on right now. I believe they're going towards the end of their qualifying session. I wonder who's going to be on pole there, but let me just check what else is on as well, because it's not just F1. We've got F5 and F6 on at right now as well. They're also in the end of their qualifying, so check those out. And then we start off in France again on Wednesday with the PC tiers F2 and F3 on Wednesday being streamed. Then we got F1 PC on Thursday, as well as the lower PlayStation tiers of F13, I think. Yeah, F13 and F12. Sunday we got F11 and F10 and F9, and then we're back to us again on Monday at 7 o'clock. There we go. So thanks, Owen, again for joining us as per usual. I hope we get more races like this next week.
Oh, absolutely. If we're going to get races like this every week, I mean, we love racing on France on the scale, so I absolutely cannot wait for next week. If that was good, trust me, next week will be better.
Now you guys can watch F1. We'll let you go and watch F1 now. We told you towards the end of the race, do not watch F1. Now you can watch F1, because that's going to be a classic as well. Stay tuned. Make sure you join us next week, same time, 7 o'clock, for the second round of the F2 Championship on PlayStation. I've been Jess Ball, and we also have Owen White. See you soon. Goodbye.